right, in today's video, we are on Callawassie Island, and I'm going to be golfing with my good friend and my preferred lender, Aaron Benton. So this will be a chance for you to see the golf course and to learn a little bit more about lending and what that entails in the Lowcountry. And I'll be throwing in some non-business related questions as well, so you can get to know Aaron just a little bit better. Don't go anywhere. We're getting started right now. Want to know everything there is to know about the South Carolina Lowcountry, whether it's Bluffton, Beaufort, Hilton Head Island, or Jasper County, then subscribe below and tap that bell for notifications so you'll be the first to know every time we drop a new video. My name is David Simcox, host of the channel and a local realtor. I get calls and emails every day from people just like you and you looking to make their move here, and I absolutely love it. So whether you're moving in 3 days, 3 months, or even 3 years, give me a call, send me an email, shoot me a text, or you can book a Zoom call, all in the description below, so I can help you find your Lowcountry lifestyle. Today, we are at Callawassie Island, an incredible private golf course community, and I'm going to be spending time with one of my good friends and trusted colleagues, Aaron Benton, who is also my preferred lender. This is the guy that has earned my trust. This is the guy that I send my customers to for good advice when it comes to lending and loans. So we're going to be spending some time on the golf course. We're going to be talking a little bit about loans, a little bit about other things pertaining to the Lowcountry, and getting to know him a little bit better. And you're going to get to see some of the beautiful scenery out here at one of the most incredible golf course communities in the South Carolina Lowcountry. Let's get started right now. All right, Aaron, so we're on our first hole here, and it's going to be a great day of golf. We both just teed off. So question number one, if people are thinking about moving here but they don't want to have that home sale contingency coming from wherever they're coming, what are the options?
So first is a bridge loan. Bridge loan is short-term financing, where basically you're just covering a short period gap, and the bank knows that this is only going to exist for a small period of time because you're going to sell your left behind house and move here and pay everything off. The next option is what people don't know is what's called recasting. Recasting is very popular, where say you buy your new home and yet you're selling your old home, and what's going to happen with that is once you come into the proceeds, you're going to pay your loan down significantly. And what you can do in recasting is you can re-amortize your mortgage payment. So you would have, instead of having a $400,000 loan on a 30-year term, say you put $300,000 down. Now all of a sudden you can have a $100,000 loan on a 30-year term, and the cost of that is much less than that of a refinance. A recasting is about $500. Okay. And with that being said, you can end up with the mortgage payment that you ultimately wanted. It's just that you didn't have to sell your home first.
Sounds good. Thanks, man.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're on hole number 2, question number 2. Where are you from, Aaron, and how did you end up in the South Carolina Lowcountry?
From Buffalo, New York. I moved down here with a friend of mine. We were both high school math teachers, so I took a position mid-year, and we figured if we didn't like it, we'd just turn around and go back home. But here I am, stuck, never left. I became a stat as a teacher. I only lasted 4.5 years before getting into the mortgage world, but met my wife here and never going back.
Nice. Awesome, man. All right, Aaron, so we're on hole number 3, question number 3. If people are moving here, we've got these transfer fees, we've got all these fees that people might not have where they're coming from. Typical closing costs, what are they looking at between all that?
Great question. So from a mortgage-related standpoint, getting a mortgage, including an appraisal, is about $2,300.
Okay.
An attorney is going to charge you $1,600 for their settlement agent fee. They're also going to charge you a form or fashion of title insurance, which is going to range anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000, depending on your purchase price and loan amount. Then you're going to have these neighborhood transfer fees, where you, David, are going to be their best friend, because it can range anywhere from 0.25% of the purchase price all the way up to a $100,000 buy-in. So it's certainly a nuance to our area, and it's something that you want to be informed about, that we can talk through when we're building that financial picture and ultimately your final cash output at the finish line.
Sounds good. Thanks. So we're on hole number 4, and question number 4, this one's going to be a personal question. So you used to be a math teacher and you became a mortgage professional, one of the top mortgage professionals in the market here. That's why I do so much business with you. But why? Why did you transfer, and what skills did you take with you?
Basically, I was getting a degree to become a principal, and I wanted to escalate myself in the education field. And I quickly noticed that it was going to be particularly challenging to get a job, and I wanted to try something different. I always enjoyed helping people, and so I just tried something different. And my wife's uncle was actually getting a mortgage from my now boss, and he interviewed me and said, you really shouldn't do this. It's very hard to make it. It's very dog eat dog, and I was very fortunate. I used my connections at the school and locally to really get up and running, and it's all connections based. You handle people the correct way, and in turn, positive word spread. So nothing but positive vibes from the education field. But ultimately, this was a wonderful decision, because I've always had a passion for numbers, and like I say today, I mean, instead of just helping the kids, I'm helping adults.
Absolutely. All right, so next question, next hole, we just teed off while we go to our balls. This is a huge retirement area. Sun City, Margaritaville, and even in these private golf clubs like we're playing today, huge contingency of folks that are maybe a little later in their life stage. Can anybody get a mortgage? Are there any age restrictions? If somebody's 85, 90 years old, they can still get a mortgage, yes or no?
Absolutely. So the only age requirement is you got to be 18. If you're 18 years old, that's the only requirement, but there is no cap. You could be 85 years old and get a 30-year mortgage. We'll put you in a monthly payment that makes sense for you, but absolutely no age restriction in terms of being too old to get a loan.
Awesome, cool. All right, so we thought we just witnessed something spectacular. From back there, it looked like he got a hole-in-one, but we just got up here and he's very close. So anyway, we thought we were going to capture something historic on film. But anyway, we're going to ask another question here. Besides golf, what do you love to do in the Lowcountry?
Being on the water. Bought a boat a couple years ago and go out with my wife and now our kids, and we share that with our friends. So it's our little escape, if you will, of paradise. We have some local sandbars. We take that to some local restaurants that are on the water. So it's certainly a time where we can, the family gets together and really just enjoys the weather, the water, and all the other great things about the Lowcountry.
I love boating too, so we definitely have that in common.
Cool.
All right, man. All right, next hole, next question. Tell me a little bit about, and our viewers here, a little bit about tax rates, because everyone does not pay the same taxes.
Yeah, this is one of the novelties of South Carolina. There's two different kinds of tax rates. There's a primary tax rate and a non-primary tax rate. And a lot of people will think it boils down to 4% millage rate as a primary and 6% for non-primary, and there's not that much of a discrepancy. What people don't realize is the non-primary tax rate is 6% millage rate plus school tax. So they are funding a lot of the schooling here in South Carolina. And what that ultimately equivalates to is about 2.5 times the tax bill. So it's certainly one of those situations where if you are going to move here to South Carolina, and this is going to be your primary residence, you want to file for this 4% homestead, if you will. And the beauty is the attorney is going to provide you the documentation and kind of give you next steps at the closing table. So you're going to be well informed. It's just one of those situations where Beaufort County is going to charge you the 6% unless you apply for the 4%, assuming it's your primary residence. So as you can tell, with a 2.5% or 2.5 times difference in rate, it's certainly something that you want to handle.
Right.
But yeah, so it's a big difference, and it's a nuance to our area.
Yeah, and even if it is your non-primary and you're paying the higher rate, for a lot of people that are coming from high tax states, it still may be, not that much. They might look at that and be like, okay, that's still a heck of a lot less than I'm paying in California.
Absolutely. I'm from New York, and the second home or the non-primary tax rate here is about equivalent to that of New York State. Okay. And so it's kind of the same, if you will, in that respect. The beauty of the taxes is they're analyzed every year. So if it's something where you originally buy this home as your non-primary resident, but 2 years down the road you decide you're going to move here, ultimately you just apply for the 4% or the primary tax rate that year. Each year gets looked at by the county.
Cool. So some people love going to the beach. This is my version of the beach today. All right, we just teed off. Next hole, next question. You recently had twins.
Yeah.
All right, how does that change things in life?
Best thing we ever did. I'm very fortunate that my wife gets to stay home with the children, but certainly we enjoy that family time. Just the kind of the Saturday afternoon or the Sunday afternoon, and some nights where it's just the family. And I'm certainly a go kind of guy, but this has allowed us to take a step back and really enjoy some family time. Life slows down a little bit, but this was the best thing that we ever did. I am so blessed and so thankful to have two little healthy kids at home waiting for me.
And you have to be a little bit more strategic about planning out your calendar.
Yeah, absolutely. And efficiency is one thing. I'm fortunate because I do have a team that can certainly assist. So I was strategic in building that team, knowing that this day would come. So in terms of business, I haven't actually had to take a step back. We have been going along as if I didn't have twins, believe it or not. We are just a well-oiled machine in this sense.
Cool. I'm sure you'll be a great dad.
Thanks, Dave.
Next question, back to mortgages. So if people are moving here and they're retired and they're not working, they can still qualify for a mortgage. How do they show income if they don't have any?
Absolutely. This is the area where people retire. This question comes up every day. And the answer is you have assets. Many people have IRAs, and we set up IRA distributions. And the rule for income to be considered acceptable is that it has to have the ability to continue for up to 37 months.
Okay.
So basically, if I had an IRA with a $500,000 in it, I could divide that by 37, and that would be the income, if you will, that I could give you credit for. Now, to go one step further, there's also what's called asset depletion, where I just take the value of your account, and maybe it's quite large, and I get to divide it by 240,000. Now, or 240, I'm sorry. Now, there's a couple rules with that, but nevertheless, I mean, my whole job is I'm tasked with creating income, and so IRAs and asset depletions are vehicles or techniques that we use for individuals who are of retirement age to qualify for a mortgage.
Cool. And so after they start these distributions, are they committed to keeping them going forever, or can that change?
If it's an annuity, many times there are contracts on an annuity that would force the client to continue. However, after closing, I really don't have any financial advice. That is up to the client as well as their financial advisor of if they don't want that distribution to continue.
Okay. All right, so we did the front 9. We're at the turn, about to take off on the back 9. All business aside, what's your view of this golf course so far?
The views are breathtaking. I think it's we're from the Hilton Head Bluffton area. We were talking how, you know, you have a little bit of space, but there's also a solid amount of development. And out here at Callawassie, I feel like I have space, I have nature. I don't think there's a shot where I haven't been able to really see the water in a sense. I mean, it has been absolutely breathtaking. I like the open format. I think that the greens, the fairways, I mean, very well manicured. This neighborhood in whole is outstanding. I'm very impressed with the course.
Yeah, me too. I'm not by any means the world's greatest golfer, but I've thoroughly enjoyed so far the front 9 and the views and just all the wildlife and nature. It's gorgeous out here.
Talk about just an escape or just a very relaxing afternoon, and it helps when you hit a couple good shots or two.
Yeah. All right, so you hit a good tee shot.
As did you.
And I was okay with what I hit. I didn't video it, but anyway, golf aside, restaurants, Bluffton and Hilton Head, and maybe even if you have a Beaufort one, favorite restaurants?
So in Bluffton, I would say Captain Woody's. It's right down there in Old Town. It's
Yep.
been there. It's established. I think that the barbecue shrimp appetizer is to die for.
Okay.
If I were to slide over to Hilton Head, I do like the Lowcountry backyard. I think,
Okay.
again, it is a Lowcountry feel. Some really good local seafood there. Shrimp and grits is outstanding. If I were to slide over to Beaufort, I would tell you anything downtown is really good. Just looking over the water, phenomenal atmosphere there. So that's really what I would think for restaurants. I mean, plenty of great options, but those are where I would advise.
Some of my favorites too. All right, next hole, next question, Aaron. Some people can pay cash, but they choose to put a mortgage on a property. Why?
Two reasons. Number one is going to be they don't want to deplete a lot of their savings. They don't want to deplete their assets. They don't want to limit their lifestyle. They don't want everything tied up, all their equity or liquidity tied up in their home. And so they just decide, I'll get a mortgage. Albeit sometimes it's a small mortgage. They just want a little extra breathing room. The other reason is strictly financial. They'll talk to their financial advisor, and their financial advisor will state that they can get a better return on the money in the market, which is greater than that of the interest rate. So they're just playing a numbers game. Hypothetical example is 8% return on the money in the market, and then they're paying an interest rate of say 5-6%, they're up to 2 to 3%. So just a numbers game, and two reasons of why people would elect to get a mortgage instead of paying all cash, even though they could.
Makes sense. All right, next hole, next question. What kind of person do you think enjoys moving to the South Carolina Lowcountry? Because we were just talking, it's not for everybody.
Yeah, I would tell you that it's the person who enjoys the water, enjoys golf, enjoys fishing. I enjoy being on my boat, like I talked about earlier. So I like to boat, I like to fish, and I like to go to the beach. But if I didn't like any of those things, if I like to go hiking, and this area doesn't have it. And so I do think that it's certainly a unique market, and it applies to a certain person. And those are the features.
Yeah, and a great place for retirees. I know I had somebody commented on one of my YouTube videos, and they're like, yeah, if you other than like boating and fishing and golfing and the outdoors, if you don't like those things, there's nothing to do here. And I kind of agree with that, even though, you know, there's a lot to do here, but it's the slow country, right? The low country is the slow country. And if I was in my early 20s, I wouldn't want to live here. I lived down in Fort Lauderdale and Miami in my early 20s because it's a more moving, happening thing going on there. And if I was single, you know, there's not a huge nightlife. There's not big club scene, although you can go over to Savannah and get a little bit of that. But it is definitely a slower pace of life. So it may not be everybody's cup of tea.
I'm typically back in my house no later than 9-10 o'clock on a weekend.
Yeah.
So.
All right, cool. Okay, so as we're driving up to our balls here on this next hole, talk to me about adjustable rate mortgages and fixed rate mortgages.
Absolutely. So it's the difference is if you're an adjustable rate mortgage, it's going to be fixed for a period of time. There's two numbers. It's always a 5, a 7, or a 10 in front, and that means that it's going to be fixed for the first 5, 7, or 10 years. After that fixed period, the rate can adjust every 6 months or a year, depending on the program. The reason people would get an adjustable rate mortgage is because the rate is lower than that of a fixed. And people will do this because maybe they're going to pay off the house short of the adjustment periods. Maybe they're going to refinance. Maybe they're going to not even live in the home. Maybe they're going to only live there for a short period of time, less than 5 years, less than 7. So those are always options that people will, or life situations where people will consider an adjustable rate. Now, of course, many people are fearful of the rate adjustment period. However, with that being said, you can always refinance prior to the adjustment and refinance it into a fixed. So people will get an adjustable rate when they want to have a lower rate. The exchange for that is, of course, the adjustment period, the unknown that could come with that. And of course, the fixed is, this is the payment, this will always be the payment, and if you're a person who budgets, you know what your payment will be from a principal and interest standpoint for the life of that loan.
How long do people typically stay in a house?
7 years.
7 years. So if you had a 7-year adjustable rate, it's still fixed for the time period that most people stay in any given house.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, so we just teed off, and both of us had a decent shot. Not bad.
We're in the short stuff. We're in the fairway.
And just real quick, it is beautiful weather out. We're shooting this at the end of January, and it just shows you can golf year-round here. It's beautiful out. Yeah. We have sweaters on, but anyway, besides that, if you could live anywhere else, if you couldn't live in the South Carolina Lowcountry, where would you go? What's your second choice?
I would go to a lake. In particular, it'd be up in Greenville area, South Carolina. I think that's a a little progressive, and I like the again, I like water. So
Okay.
the idea that I'm on a lake, if I can't be here in the Lowcountry and be near the ocean and near some of our rivers, I'm going to a place with a lake, and that's the Greenville area. So
Okay. So staying in South Carolina.
I love South Carolina. I mean, like you said, we're here in sweaters in January. I'm from New York. There's snow on the ground. This is where I want to be.
Cool. So next question, back to mortgage questions. If somebody is under contract, getting ready to close, what do they not need to do?
A couple things. Number one is don't move money. Many times people want to facilitate and move all their money into one account. Let us source that you have sufficient funds first, and then you can move all the money you want. But please do not move money in between accounts while we're looking at your financials. The second part is opening of new debt right during the process or right at the finish line. Purchasing an auto loan, for instance, or a vehicle is something that could disqualify you. Number two, say you finance some furniture or you're getting ready to move here. All of a sudden, yeah, you might still qualify, but it becomes messy. And then we have to source what you're buying. We have to get the paperwork to show what you bought. And it's one of those situations where it can become an annoyance. So we're just looking out for you. We want it to be a smooth process, and the best way to do that is to keep your life simple during the loan process. Once you close, spend all you want.
And even if they have more than enough money, it could just screw things up as far as closing on time, because you got to show it went here, it went there, and it just can clog up the paperwork.
Absolutely. Once you're during the loan process, we have this thing called basically we're sourcing your debt, if you will. So it's just debt monitoring. And during the process, if new debt pops up or arises, then we have to ask the question. And more than anything, that's an annoyance. And we want to be on your side, and we want it to be smooth.
Cool. So next question, next hole. This one is going to be more personal in nature. Hope you don't mind. How would you describe your own personality if people are thinking about working with you? And maybe how do the people close to you describe you?
If I had one word, I would say educator. I'm a former teacher. That's my background. I take tremendous pride in the education piece and people really understanding what they're doing. And finances is a big deal. And there's two major numbers that people want to take away from. They want to know what their monthly payment is, and they want to know what their bottom line cash to close is. And I take tremendous pride in basically at the point of origination, so 30, 45 days before they actually sign the paperwork, they know what their monthly payment's going to be. They know what the closing costs are going to be. We have talked, this area is unique in terms of HOA payments and transfer fees, and I'm able to equip clients with all the information that they need to make an informed decision. And there are no surprises. Surprises is the worst thing that can ever happen during a lending process, and we do everything we can to avoid it. So education first and foremost, absolute transparent the whole way through the process, especially at the origination stage.
Okay, now forget about business. Your friends, how would they describe you if they had one word to describe your personality?
I would say laid back, and it's two words, but definitely relaxed and very carefree in a sense of just I love life. I don't sweat the small stuff. I focus mostly on big picture items, and I'm very fortunate to have a very nice contingency here of friends, and I love playing golf and just kind of relaxing with the group of people. So definitely carefree. I think life is short, and I don't need to take things too seriously.
Cool. And again, I always like these videos to be somewhat timeless. So if you watch them now or 3 years from now or whatever, the information is still good. But when we're shooting this video, we're in an environment where the rates are coming down and they are what people perceive to be higher rates than what they'd like. So what's your input on what to do in this type of economic situation?
So in a declining rate environment, which is what we're currently in, I always tell people, you know, if you like the house, if you really like the house, you shouldn't wait, because the reality is as the rates come down, there's going to be more competition. More people are going to be let into the market, voluntary or involuntarily let back into the market, based on qualification, based on desire, and you're going to have greater competition. Greater competition means greater home prices, and I believe you had mentioned, David, less contingencies as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's something else. You know, when you're the only buyer, like right now, if you go to make an offer on a house, you might be the only buyer that's thrown his hat in the ring on that house. But in a lower rate environment, you might have a few people that all want that house. So you're not able to necessarily do a home inspection contingency or a home finance contingency or an appraisal contingency or a home sale contingency. So right now you have a lot more power as the buyer.
Yeah, I've also seen in these declining rate environments where people will pay over asking price, and that kind of goes right in the face of, am I getting a good deal with rate? Because I'm already paying more for the house, if you will. Conversely, if the rates are going up, you're going to see less competition, and that's a situation where, again, if you love the house, you should buy it. And the reason is because you do have the ability to refinance. I do believe that you should acquire a payment, no matter what, you should acquire a payment that you're comfortable with. But in a raising rate environment, if you buy the house that you like at a payment you feel like, okay, it's not ideal, but I can handle it, your situation's probably only going to improve.
Good.
You got the sand riding up to the right-hand side.
Yeah.
So you see the last bunker? The pin's right in front of it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's actually pretty close.
It's short. But they have the water on the left there. That pops out.
All right, I think this is our last hole and our last question, so this will be a fun one. My wife and my kids always tease me because I'm always saying, be careful, be careful, be careful. I guess I'm overprotective. I don't know what it is. I'm like always kind of hovering on my kids. I need to give them a little more room. I hate that about myself, but I can't help it. So what does your wife tease you about?
I would say it's my ability to get hurt doing menial tasks. Injury prone, we'll call it. For example, the other day I was just going to pick up my dog and hold the muscle in my back. Or I'll be playing a game of basketball and I'm not even being guarded by anyone and I'll sprain my ankle. So I guess injury just follows me. I'm not even that old, but yet I feel like I'm quickly aging. So definitely many doctor's appointments, I guess that you would say, in my future.
Okay, all right. All right, so you have a good lie here close to the green, but if you have never golfed in South Carolina, you have plenty of these guys around you got to watch out for. That is an alligator. So if you're coming from New York, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, California, that is part of the Lowcountry. All right, so we made it to the end of the video. We got through 18 holes of golf and 18 questions. You guys got to know Aaron a little bit better. Hopefully you can understand why I like sending business to him. He's a great guy and also very much on top of his game in his profession. again, if I can help you find your low country lifestyle, be sure and like, subscribe, and tap that bell for notifications so you'll be the first to know every time we drop a new video. And if you want to have a conversation with me, you can always give me a call, send me an email, shoot me a text, or even book a Zoom call, all in the description below. And if you want to reach out to Aaron, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you, Aaron?
Yeah, thanks for having me, David. Great time. My best number for me is 843-505-5623. Or you can get me in my website, the letter A, the letter I, Benton, B as in boy, E, N as in Nancy, T-O-N as in Nancy.com, AIBenton.com.
All right, sounds good. So I hope to meet you in some point in person, but if not, at least I'll see you on the next video.